Hello, I am Mrs. Armstrong, and I'm going to go over the information that I provided to students today in preparing for the ACT English and Reading tests. So these are some of the resources I found on YouTube: the Super Tutor TV, Scalar Learning, Kaplan, and Beyond the Test. The English test is 75 questions and only 45 minutes. There are 5 essays, so that means you can only spend about 8 minutes per essay. That is not very long to read the essay and answer the questions. So you definitely need to have a watch, not a smart watch because they won't let you take that in, but just a regular watch. You can write on the test booklet, write the beginning time, when the half point would be, and when the ending time is, and then pay attention to your own watch. On the English, there is a section about production of writing, which is about 30%. So they're going to want to know if you understand the purpose and the focus of that writing. What is the development of the topic? How do they organize it? How do they make it cohesive? Knowledge of language is only 13 to 19%. They want to make sure that you are writing concisely, so not flowy and lots of adjectives and repeating things, but to the point and concise. They also don't want to have passive writing. This is an example of passive writing. The way to rearrange this into an active sentence would be to use the subject, the seagull caught the fish. So that's making it active. The seagull is doing the action, catching the fish. This is the object. Okay, so this is the wrong or passive way to write that. Another example of that is just being vague, like mistakes were made. Where, when, what mistakes? So that's hiding the blame in that kind of situation, or not expanding on it and including all the details, like women were not treated as equals, when and by who, and so forth. So those are passive types of writing, and you want to be active and concise in the writing. You can also mark up your questions. So the questions are going to say which one is not blah blah blah. And if you only read which one is blah 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 and missed the not, you're definitely going to get it wrong. Or which one is the least like that passage, or the least like the topic of that. So you want to make sure that you can circle or mark different parts of the questions as well as in the passage. So 50% of the English test is grammar, conventions of standard English, usage and mechanics. So sentence structure, punctuation, and usage. So make sure you know all of your rules of grammar. Don't go by what it sounds like, what you're thinking like, because we don't always speak correctly. So you want to go by the rules of grammar that you already know. The other tip is that 30 to 40% of the answers will actually be no change. They want you to think that something is wrong, but 30 to 40% of the questions are already correct, so there's no change in the writing. So don't be afraid to mark no change. So read the whole sentence, not just the underlined part. Read the entire question. Don't be afraid of using no change. Don't rush. Rely on the rules. Some easily fixable common mistakes are redundancy or wordiness. So like if they say the food was bland, tasteless, and dull. Those all mean the same. So if it says which part of this passage could be removed, those words are redundant. Unnecessary commas, like people that pause a lot, but that's not how we should write it. Dangling modifiers. Eliminate identical answers. So if you don't know the answer, and say two of the choices, A, B, C, and D, say C and D are the same. They mean the same. Like one says bland and one says tasteless. Those both mean the same. That means that neither one is right because there can only be one answer. So you can eliminate those two answers. So that's called the process of elimination. So if you don't know the answer at all and you're looking at A, B, C, and D, you know that A is not right. B, you don't know, so maybe. You read C, that's maybe. D is definitely not right. So you have a 50% chance. That's better than a 25% chance. And also then you could maybe refer back to the passage to find the support to find which one of those is actually right. So again, the prose should be clear as possible. Shorter is better. And make sure that you're answering the question that is being asked. Okay, on the reading test is last, and you get a 15-minute break right before the test. So maybe you're tired after math and science and English, so do something to get re-energized or awake. If you're stressed from the math and science, then do something to calm down. There's going to be 4 sections. 3 of them will contain a long prose passage, and then 1 will have 2 shorter passages. Key ideas and details are 50% of the test. So you need to be able to understand the relationships, draw logical inferences and conclusions, know what is sequential or comparative or cause and effect. So know what those things are. Kaplan suggests that you read the passage first and make marks, the important nouns and verbs, maybe write a couple sentence summaries, and then read the questions and answer them. So I think that would be the best way to do it. They always have the same 4 types of passages. So prose and fiction, social sciences, humanities, and natural science. You can do those in any order that you want. So if you know what these are and you know that one is hard compared to the others, do that one last, because you want to get the easy ones done that you're going to get correct for sure. So look at those 4 types of passages that they're going to have, and each one will have 10 questions, so you can spend 3 minutes reading the passage and 5 minutes answering the questions. Only 8 minutes per passage. So when you're reading the questions, they also recommend that you cover up the answer. You read the question and you try to predict the answer. Like, you can probably figure out the answer, you have an idea of the answer, and then when you're looking at the choices, that could confuse you. So if you think you know the answer, you look at the answers and you're like, oh, that one's just like what I was thinking, so that one is the answer. So that's another good suggestion. And then there are some different tricks that ACT uses to try to mess you up, like distortion, misused details, out of scope, extremes, and opposites. So these are also in the Career Center. If you missed today and you would like this information, I'm happy to go over it with you, or you can just come by and get the handouts anytime. And we will be having another session on math and science this week, and then we're going to talk about mindset and anxiety and those kinds of things, test taking strategies next week. Hope to see you soon.